Continuing on with the odds and end days, odds and end tasks. Worked a lot today, but just did a bunch of odds and ends. So kind of got the doubler made for the GPS antenna. I ended up making it 3 times because I couldn't decide whether it looks better being straight with the plane or contoured with the edge. In the end, I decided to make it straight with the center line parallel to that. And I'll rivet that in. What else do we do? I got the fuel lines actually torqued. I leak tested the tank, so that was something that I've been meaning to do. That allowed me to get the brake lines on, torqued those. I put the black sleeving over those, installed all of those on here. Got that situated, and worked on the firewall. So I bought every single one of these, and the one that kind of fits the holes that RANS gives you is the 3/4 inch one. So you gotta look at the bolt pattern, but yeah. So the 1 inch one doesn't fit. It seems kind of small, but it does actually clear those holes. So I did 6/32 times 3/8 inch long bolts to hold that through. And that's where all the cables are gonna go through for the engine monitor and what have you. I lined out where all of these go. So they say these are supposed to be drilled 5/16. That's just a tad bit bigger than a 1/4 inch with a grommet, but I'm not sure if the grommet's gonna fit around that. So gotta read some videos, but got my hole saws ready for the heater box and the eyeballs. I was hoping to get that done today, but did not. And yeah, so nothing too exciting, but that's it. Good night. Late again. Well, another day and I still didn't get done on the firewall. Everything always takes a little bit longer, but I did get the GPS antenna in. I also got the ELT antenna in, and that one was tricky because you had that little notch to keep it from spinning, so you couldn't just drill a 1/2 inch hole. You had to, I don't know, had to do it by hand. And the same thing for the doubler. Then there's a little suppressor thing. I don't know if it's mandatory or not. And then I basically just put a little bit of conduit and safety wire. It's actually a piece of a pitot tube. Ran that down in there, down along with the other wire, and that's gonna go into here. I mean, it already goes into there, made the antenna ends. And yeah, the idea is that those wires are gonna run through here. The GPS wire is gonna loop this way. We'll probably put a 90-degree angle on here. We bought a couple of those, but they're expensive, so I didn't wanna practice on those. I practiced on the $3 end before we practiced on the $20 end. And yeah, that'll probably come down to this B-pillar, or whatever station that is, and go forward. Started to run these wires forward, and I think maybe tomorrow I'm gonna do some flying. Weather's beautiful up here, and tomorrow night I will work on drilling the firewall. We also decided to put the parking brake under the panel over here. So I'm trying to devise something that mounts from here to there, but that's a project for another day. All right, another late night. Good night. So instead of using the rivet, I think that's what RANS use, we bought for $20 this official looking static port, and I put it on the back of the plane there. Then probably see better from the other side. Did a 90 on that and just running it down. I put a piece of brake line around there, 1 inch piece of brake line with safety wire. And I actually replaced those up there too. Yesterday I had them with tubing from the pitot tubing, two pieces. But they were kind of hard and you could slide in it. So anyway, the brake line I think is better. So I replaced all of those. Then I may very well have made the world's shortest transponder. antenna cable. They said to keep it short, so I put the 90 on that so it stays low. Safety wired it over here. I don't have the backing to this. George has all that because he's wiring it, but I assume it's going to be somewhere in that range, and we can adjust it as need be. Yep, so started to run all the wires forward. Did go flying today. Went up to Sanford in Maine along the coast, and I tested out the A30 headset. It's very nice. It's comfortable, probably about an hour and a half up in the air. The clamping force, they say, is less. I think the noise canceling is pretty much equivalent. It does have settings where you have less noise canceling and even less noise canceling, but I don't see why anybody would ever use that unless you have a really quiet plane. So my unprofessional review is they are very, very nice. I'm going to keep my A20s as backup though. Oh yeah, and then up in Maine, we have friends who are also building an S-21. I actually want to go down and visit my brother, but he was fogged in down there, 300 overcast, so that wasn't happening. That's in Plymouth, but he was working on his S-21, so we went up to Sanford, Maine, and met Rob and Sue, who are also building an S-21, and kind of bounced some ideas off each other. They're ahead in some places where they have like the interior panels done already, and probably should have brought the camera. It would have been cool to videotape it. It wasn't exactly planned that way, but got me inspired to how this is all gonna come together. Pretty excited to start working on that, but it's only not even 9 yet, so I am starting on the Firewall. I looked at how they did it. This is a 2 16" hole. I only have a 2-inch hole saw, but the cutout from the heater box switch vent thingy is 2 inches, so if I have to file it a little bit, so be it. So I went through and I marked all these. I don't know if I talked about this before, at least on camera. These are 5/16 holes, but the cable I think is like 5/16, so got to figure out some grommet stuff. So I'm gonna drill what I can and probably dull all my bits and drills and hole saws cutting through this and make a mess on the other side. I'll probably put some more tape down, so try and keep as much as possible from falling into the floorboard area. Here we go. All right, that worked out perfect. Even though they called for 2 16" hole, this opening here is actually 2 inches. So I have a 2-inch hole saw and I have a 2 1/8. So I decided to do the 2 inch and open it up if I need to, but it actually fits right on with the 2-inch hole saw. So that's going to lead me to double check this. I do have a 1 1/8" hole saw for the throttle and mixture cable eyeballs. I'm just going to see what those things look like. I basically just pre-drilled all of these in a 30, and I'm not sure if I'm overstating the obvious here, but I found, sharp hole saw and going slower rather than faster. And then I put some of the bow lube on there, and literally just on slow speed, just kind of went through this. Don't heat it up too much, and it cut right through it, which I had some issues cutting through. I think if you spin the drill bit too fast, it just doesn't work. And then this is for the ignition cables up here. And yeah, check those and carry on. Oh, and I did not drill the heater cable one yet. I know it needs to kind of come down here and go to the heater box. And I'm not sure if it comes around here, because I don't know where RANS put it, but I think we decided to put it over on the far right side. So I'm just gonna hold off drilling that one and kind of think that through. All right, made some good progress. This actually went pretty smooth. Got this guy bolted in. This one, the gasket didn't quite line up, so I kind of had to chop it off here and move the hole a little bit. So these do fit through here, but these are 3/16 rubber grommets for the heater cable, which is supposed to go through here. I'm not gonna do that quite yet. I'm not sure where I'm going with it, but anyway, got that guy in, got that guy in. Yeah, pretty happy with it. The 2-inch hole works just fine. Unfortunately, the undercoating chipped a little bit around the edges, but it's not too bad. Before I call it a night, I think I'm gonna do one more, just the cable end for the GPS antenna up here. All right. This is a 90-degree one, just because we want it to be low profile and we didn't want to use an adapter. And these are expensive, these Amphenol ones. The ones you buy on Amazon are cheap, but we want to go with these. So I did a couple of the straight ones first to make sure I don't mess it up. But I saw this on YouTube as well, and you can look at Stein's video. Just roll enough light there. There we go. So what I do is razor blade. They say to cut 3/4, which would be the full width of the razor blade. I end up doing a little bit less. If you go up to this edge, it's a 1/2 inch. If you go halfway in between, it's like 5/8. So that's what I'm gonna do. And basically just run it around. Don't dig into the wiring. Strip that off. It comes off pretty easy. Then I go back. These little flush cuts work really well. There's no neat way of doing this. It just ends up being a mess. Cut half of this back. And the most important thing is not to leave any long strands that can short out, for obvious reasons. Like I said, I'm just regurgitating what I saw on YouTube. It's more of a convenience factor than anything for lecture. So the convenience factor being that maybe you can find it here if you happen to be working on this. Alright, so get back here. A little straggler here. Okay, then what I do is I go up about 1/8 inch and leave maybe 1/4 to 3/16 on the other end. You do the same thing here. They have strippers for this, but I find the razor blade gives you the most control. Now you take the pin, slide it over that. So there's a little hole in here. That's not for soldering. Soldering makes it stiff. That's just so you can see, you have a visual confirmation that the inside wire actually goes up inside there. Again, you gotta make sure that no strands peeled back. This is a little bit of a Frankenstein. I got these from work, these dies, and then this happens to fit into an ideal crimper. It looks like the size is 0.068. And then I just stick it into that. Give it a crimp. That felt like it was on there solid. This is the outer sleeve. Put that on first, unless you can get to the other end of it. Slide that over. Again, triple check, make sure no wires go on there. Slide this guy on. It's okay if it spreads it, just as long as no wires go on the inside, which is good. Push that on nice and tight. Get rid of all the stragglers. And I used the 0.213 on this one. Alright, again, tight. And then I guess you can leave that end piece, but I crimp it, and that's that. So that's how we get this guy. The same thing goes for the straight ones. It's no different. Two things we want to make sure of. My El Chico meter, but it works for continuity. So quiet, I gotta put up my ear. And I want to make sure that there's absolutely no continuity between this and the center pin. I suppose I could just look at the reading. Okay, outside is good, inside is nothing. But obviously this is an unterminated cable so far. I want to make sure that we have continuity from here to the other center pin. Perfect, super low impedance. We'll check the outside. Perfect. That's it for the cable. There it is on the GPS antenna cable. We can also swing it around. I might put a little support there, but that's why we kind of wanted the angle so it doesn't stick down and be less likely to get yanked. Right now I just have it run in here, down in here, starting to collect some cables up here. The idea is that we George is wiring the panel, and he will have most of the cables coming back this way and then terminate at, let's say, the transponder, the autopilot plugs, and so on and so forth. In the wings, we have the cables that need to go forward, and then these need to go forward. So that gives me a chance to basically do some stuff back here. So some of it will be terminated once the panel is in, but most of it will come back. And well, I think it's pretty exciting, starting to come together. I think I'll probably end this video here. It's Saturday night. Not even midnight yet, early night. And think about what I'm gonna do tomorrow. We have the firewall insulation I'm gonna put on, which is this one here. I already have it cut. So I'm trying to figure out how many of these things to cut out and how many to have help hold it in, or if in case we decide not to use it, I want to be able to take it off, so I don't want to like glue it on. But that's a good stopping point. Still got to build the battery box. I was wondering, does anybody put the battery box on this side? Kind of thinking of maybe putting a tank here for smoke. So we are doing the EarthX battery, and I believe it stands this way, and I got to put all the vents and all that stuff. So I wouldn't mind putting the vents here. If anybody has done that or has any insight on why or why not to do it. And if we put it on this side, technically it's not in the cabin, so does it need a vent? All these questions. Time to do some research. Good night. Thank you for watching.